I find the title of today's sermon a little funny because it's called To Speak. And I've been trying to preach this sermon now for about what we should say or what we should not say can help us to reflect Christ's love in the world powerfully. Jesus' words passed through every one of the gates in the Think and acronym. They were true, they were helpful, they were inspiring, they were necessary, and they were kind. What about our words, Union family? In the heat of an argument? In a social media post? In every way that we communicate? How about how we honk at other drivers around us and may be tempted to flash a few gestures or angry faces, right? Every way we communicate and choose to speak should reflect the Christ that we follow and serve. And there are moments in life when faithfulness to Christ calls us to silence destructive voices, to take a stand against them. Jesus, notice in our text, does not argue with the unclean spirit. He does not debate it. He names it, he silences it, and he removes its authority. Sometimes those destructive voices are internal. We may feel shame that says we're not enough. We got to silence that, friends. We are enough because Christ is enough for us. Sometimes fear tells us to stay silent. Sometimes guilt says that grace is not for you. We know those are not the things that Christ would want us to think. And sometimes destructive voices come from other people, voices that degrade or disparage the image of God in others, voices that seek to harm others or to control through their words and actions. Sometimes those destructive voices are communal or systemic. Narratives that normalize cruelty or injustice or stereotypes. Language that dehumanizes others. Silence that protects power instead of people. Faithfulness may require sometimes standing up and saying, "This is not acceptable, and it will not rule here." Setting this type of boundary is not unloving. It's often the most loving thing we can speak and say. Jesus shows us that silencing evil is important. When we see it, we must speak. He confronts that spirit without dehumanizing the man. He removes the spirit's power without removing the man's dignity. He speaks with authority shaped by love, and that is my prayer for us. When Christ speaks, freedom follows. May we use our voices to share his liberating love. God's truth frees us to speak love, to speak life, to speak hope. People don't remember sermons. I'm aware of that as a preacher. But they do remember short, simple sentences. Ones like, "I see you. You're not alone. God hasn't given up on you." Here's a good one. "You are loved." And this month, we're going to do a project to share some love in our community. Today, at the end of worship, you're going to have an opportunity to take 2 of these little cards out into the world with you. They say this: "This little heart is full of love and hugs, so keep it close and know that you are loved." You can leave it anywhere. Maybe you go out to lunch today and you just leave it in the check folder. Or maybe a coworker's had a particularly rough season. You could just place it on his or her desk. You don't have to make a big fanfare of it. You can do it non-verbally. Or maybe someone you know just needs a little encouragement, and you hand it to them and say, "I see you, and I'm praying for you." These little pocket hugs, as they're called, at the top, also have a blessings from Union Christian Church on the back. Who knows how far and wide they might go? Maybe you're going to go check out a library book this week, and after you finish reading it, you just put this little card in there as a bookmark, and the next person who checks it out and reads it finds this. Or maybe this is what I did one time. I went to Target and put some little nice messages in people's jean pockets. So when they tried on the jeans and they didn't look good in the mirror, they at least stuck their hand in a pocket and said, "Oh, I'm loved." We've all had those moments in the dressing room, right? So I want to encourage you to get creative. Take these little cards and place them somewhere where people will feel loved and cared about, even though you might not even know who they are. Jyoti and I put these together this week. We had a lot of fun doing it. So there's 2 for everybody here today to take with you, and maybe we'll have some leftovers for next week too. But what a way to speak. Even if you're not using your words that come out of your mouth, you can use actions that speak of God's love, little things done with great love. Friends, our words won't solve everything, but they can beat back despair and hopelessness and people feeling like they are not enough, or they're not cared for, or they're afraid or worried. Powerful words. You are loved. I think Jesus would want us to know that today and want us to share it with all. Because every time that Christ gives us words to speak, we can always trust Him with the results. Because when Christ speaks in and through His people, freedom follows. May He always use our voices to share His liberating love. Amen.